guys, it's Rachel. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my twin pregnancy series. So I wanted to do just a quick funny video with you. Somebody asked in the comments a couple weeks ago, what are some of the most embarrassing things that have happened to you in your twin pregnancy? And I thought it would be funny to share kind of my top 4 so far most embarrassing moments and the things that have happened. So I feel that being pregnant for the first time, you go through a lot of stuff you don't expect, and then you also get told a lot of things that may not happen to you. One of the first embarrassing things to happen to me was adjusting to my own body. So a lot of people would tell me, like, when your tummy starts growing, you're going to be very off balance, you're going to be very clumsy, you just have to get used to it. I actually went out to lunch with a friend of mine, and this is probably around the second trimester when my belly had kind of popped. And I had already had some incidents where I had like bumped my belly into things that I went to reach for and then like knocked something else over. But my first really embarrassing moment was I was at Applebee's. We went to like the happy hour where you can get half off appetizers. I am obsessed with their chicken tacos. And I remember, like, I chose to sit at the bar stools because I was like, I'm not so big that I need to be like in a booth or in a chair. Like, I can still sit up on those bar stools and get up there. So we were in a corner where like I had to like push the stool back and then like kind of creep out between the table and a corner. And I got in fine, and we had our lunch, and we chatted, and it was great to catch up. And then I remember being like, okay, we're ready to leave, we've paid. And at this point, when we had gotten there, not a lot of people were in the restaurant. We went pretty early, and then it had started to fill up, and I was like, all right, let's get out of here before it's too busy. And so I was like gathering my things, and I was feeling rushed, and I had a moment where I was just like, I can still fit, between the table and that stool. And so I suck in as much as I can, and I go to do it, and I couldn't really suck in well, so I kind of like my belly started going back out and wedges me between the table and the like corner. And so then I like kind of start panicking, and I just squeeze myself out as quick as possible and knock over my stool. And I do not know why, but like it was the loudest thing ever. Like, I swear everybody turned around, and I'm like, okay, here I am. Like, my belly just wiped out a bar stool, not even a bar stool, but like a high top stool. And those things are pretty heavy. So I learned my lesson. I do not think I'm going to just squeeze anymore. I am very unaware of the girth of my belly most of the time. And so, lesson learned, don't try to just sneak places. I also had an embarrassing moment where I tried to like sneak behind someone at a restaurant, like, oh, sorry, and hit them in the head with my stomach. That was super embarrassing as well. So I think learning and adjusting to my body, I am trying to make less scenes in restaurants. The second, probably kind of feel bad moment, but also embarrassing, was everybody's like, oh, your brain is gonna, you'll have mom brain, pregnancy brain, which, I did feel more forgetful, or I wouldn't be able to like think of words. But the worst was I went home to visit family, and we were having a pizza party we wanted to have pizza and have everybody get together. And so my one family member lives out about 15 minutes away from the pizza place. And then my aunt lives about 2 minutes from the pizza place in town. And we hadn't really decided where we were going to have pizza at first. We're like, we'll have it out of the house, we'll go pick it up, we'll bring it back. But then we were like deciding that the pizza place was probably more central to everybody. And so the day of, I drive to see my aunt at work, and I wanted to tell her what time we were meeting and that we had changed the location to the pizzeria. I went in, we hung out, we got to see her, visit for a few minutes, and then we left. And she texted me like, see you at 6. Can't wait. So that night we go to the pizza pub. We are ordering food. It's about 6:15, and everybody has showed up except for my aunt who lives 2 minutes from the pizzeria. And I kept thinking, like, first of all, she's never late, and then also it's only 2 minutes from her house, so I'll just throw her a text. And someone else turned to me and said, well, did you tell her that we were meeting here? And I was like, of course I did. I stopped in on her lunch break today to tell her that, and that it was at 6 o'clock. And then they looked at me and they're like, are you sure? And all of a sudden, I realized that I wasn't sure. Like, I actually couldn't remember if I had told her or not. So, of course, I text her, and where is she? Waiting 15 minutes out of the way at our house, back at the other house, waiting for us to bring pizza. I felt horrible. Everybody thought it was hilarious. She laughed it off. She said it was fine. She actually got there just in time as the pizza was coming out anyways. But I felt terrible because she lives 2 minutes from where we were having dinner. She drove all the way out only to have to drive all the way back because my brain was switched to off. I actually felt like I could not apologize enough for it. I felt so stupid. I was like, what is wrong with my brain? Like, I physically went there to tell her those two things and then, couldn't manage to tell it. One other thing that happened to me more recently is that I had an embarrassing moment leaving the grocery store in the parking lot. So I had gotten groceries about 2 weeks ago. I am early into my 3rd trimester, and I was pretty sure most of my nausea was all but gone. It comes and goes, but this nausea that led to throwing up was all it's been a hot minute since that's happened. I started kind of feeling weird in the store. Felt like I couldn't stand up, felt very dizzy. I had drank a lot of water, so I knew I wasn't dehydrated, so I was like, well, maybe I'm just tired. I get my groceries in the car, and instead of going back into the store and using the bathroom and being like, maybe I am going to be sick, I'm like, no, I can handle this. So I start pulling out of the parking lot, and at the end of the parking lot is a Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm like, maybe I could stop and get something there and use their bathroom. I don't even make it to park and get in the Dunkin'. I pull up to where everybody else is parking in this Dunkin' parking lot, which is busy because it's in the morning on a weekend. And I try to get out of my car. I can't even get out of my car fast enough. I start throwing up and I throw my door open, and I ended up throwing up into the pocket of my door and into the parking lot. And of course, there are people everywhere. Except now, I started throwing up and I can't stop. This went on for 5 minutes of me closing the door, opening it back up, and at this point also now my door from the first time, because I was barely making it out of the car, has throw up all over it. I don't know if people thought I was nuts, felt bad for me, because I don't know if you could even tell from the way I was in the car that I was pregnant. I was throwing up out of the side of the car. But yeah, I threw up in front of everybody at Dunkin' who was trying to enjoy a morning latte or a morning donut, probably ruined their breakfast, lost mine, and then was just well, now I have to clean this up. So I had to wipe down my car from throw up, and with an entire parking lot full of people watching me. So that was incredibly embarrassing. I don't think that anyone likes to see that, but when you're seeing it, it's hard to look away. So I don't blame people for staring, and I think next time if I feel that woozy, I will just go to the bathroom in the store to make sure I don't throw up into my own car door pocket or in public in front of everybody. Yeah, that sucked. And then the last thing that I have been experiencing, which is really funny because everybody was like, oh, pregnancy, you get so gassy. I have not been very gassy, and maybe that's because I have not been constipated or had any issues going to the bathroom at all. I, in fact, go to the bathroom way more times a day than I did before. So maybe that's why I'm not gassy. But the sounds my stomach makes when the twins like quickly shift spots. So sometimes when I'm on one side and I roll over, I can actually physically feel like both of them like shift a little bit. Sometimes they're on, I think, my intestines or like against my stomach. They make the most horrendous farting sounds inside of my belly though. So it's not actually pushing gas out, it's just pushing around what's ever inside of my belly. And it sounds like the loudest farts. And at first I was like, oh my God, people are gonna think I'm just sitting here farting. And it has kind of become funny because the other morning I like went from my right side to my left side, and my husband like put his ear to my belly, and all of a sudden the baby shifted and it made this like whoa sound, but it was so loud. And I think that if like he hadn't have had his head like on my belly to know that it like directly came from where the babies were, he would have thought I farted on his head. And I was like, that was my stomach. And he was like, I know, but it definitely didn't sound like it. It was just so loud and so aggressive. And that's actually happened to me like 1 or 2 times when I've been out, where like I bend down to pick something up and I stand back up, and like the shifting of the babies, they don't move like at the same time or whatever, and it makes like this really loud sound. Just sounds like I'm farting as loud as possible in public, but really it's just my insides being mashed around by babies. That has embarrassed me at the grocery store. I think it embarrassed me one time while I was having lunch, and then with my husband, who now knows that I'm not farting on his head. It's just the sounds my stomach is making. But to anybody else who doesn't know that, I'm sure they think I am ripping farts in public like a crazy person. So those are the 4 most like embarrassing, like what the heck moments that I've had in this pregnancy. I'm sure I've got about a little over a month to go, so I'm sure there will be more, but I wanted to share those with you because pregnancy is weird, it's funny, it's definitely challenging, but there are some humorous, sides to it, and I wanted to share mine. If you guys have any hilarious pregnancy things that happened to you that were either gross or TMI or just like overall like learning and adjusting to your new body, put them in the comments below. I love to read them. I love to hear what has happened to other people. Not because your pain is my gain, but because we're in this pain together, people. It is amazing to see that you're not the only person whose stomach makes crazy fart noises when you're not actually farting. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like always, give it a thumbs up so we know to make more videos like this, and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything in our twin series. Thank you. Bye.